This is Adam DC, and welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game Network. Today's card profile of the day is going to be Heatwave. This card's effect is, this card can only be activated at the start of main phase 1. Neither player can normal or special summon an effect monster until your next draw phase. So this card is going to be less splashable than anything else I've talked about. The first thing you need to talk about with this card is that it only limits the summon of effect monsters. So you're going to be able to normal summon, special summon, synchro summon, ritual summon, any kind of normal monster you want to. So, you know, Blue Eyes or Gemini Pearl or, you know, the Gaia Knight synchro card, you can still put those guys on board. This only prevents effect monsters. A good combination that would be cool with this card that doesn't actually work would be Shallow Grave or Spear Cretin. When you activate those cards' effects, you and your opponent both special summon a monster from your grave. However, you cannot activate those cards if your opponent doesn't have a viable target if Heatwave is active. So, you know, if you have a bunch of normal monsters in your grave or even one and your opponent has 0, you're not going to be able to use those cards in conjunction with Heatwave. Another thing is Gemini monsters. Gemini monsters are only treated as normal monsters in the field or the graveyard. So if you have a Gemini monster in hand and Heatwave is active, you cannot summon it. So those are the biggest limitations to this card. If you were to decide to take this card in, its only real purpose in, you know, a regular deck or a meta deck or whatever is going to be to maintain your advantage. You know, if you've already got a field full of strong monsters and your opponent has 1 or none and you want to keep that rolling into the next turn, you know, you activate this at the beginning of your main phase 1 and you can run over your opponent's monsters, get some damage in, and they're not going to really have a rebuttal as far as any kind of monster summoning next turn. You know, you still have to worry about the spells and traps, but if they're running any type of monster heavy deck, something that relies a lot on, you know, making exceeds or synchros or anything of that nature, they're going to have a hard time with this. And outside of that, this card really shines in a deck that focuses on normal monsters. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be an entire deck of normal monsters. If you were running some kind of you know, new Blue Eyes variant with the Blue Eyes Maiden, you know, you could summon her and then the next turn use Heatwave and, you know, attach the wand card on her and get the Blue Eyes. You know, so in any deck that focuses on, you know, summoning big normal monsters or just a deck that focuses on normal monsters in general, this is really going to shine. It's really going to lock your opponent down. Something else to consider with this card also is that typically tokens are not effect monsters unless stated on the card that summons the tokens. So, you know, you can activate this, and then you can activate Scapegoat, you can activate trap monsters that are, you know, not treated as effect monsters, that are just normal monsters. And so, you know, you can still put monsters on the board with this card, even if you have a handful of effects, you know, like I said, Scapegoat or Embodiment of Apophysis, or however that card is pronounced. Another thing too with this card is that your opponent can still set, you can still set effect monsters because the game state doesn't recognize what a face down monster is. So, you know, your opponent could still set a Raikou and you might attack into that or something of that scenario. But you know, it's obviously a play on Cold Wave, which is banned. It has a kind of a similar effect. I wish its effect was a little bit more all-inclusive like Cold Wave is. Like, your opponent cannot, or neither player could activate the effect of effect monsters until the next turn. If that was also included in there, that would be pretty neat too. But you know, I think the card is pretty interesting, and it might find its way into your deck. So anyway, guys, that's Heatwave. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.